as the roadmap began to develop, capacity within the agency clearly comes to the surface. And so fortunately, we're able to actually, within the new organizational structure, stand up a relevancy branch. And so just recently, we actually able to fill the relevancy chief coordinator position, also able to add an inclusion and diversity assistant to the director. And so we really invested in that real structural meat to the agency to say that relevancy is super important, to the point that we actually created an individual branch. But then what's the work of that branch to do? Where do they start? So that was really what the pilot project is about, is to say, okay, as an organization, how do we take a step back and look at the roadmap, look at the services we provide to the public? What are we doing and what are we not doing? So it's given us an opportunity to say, okay, what is our desired goals and outcomes? What's our target audience? And then what kinds of programs and services are we currently providing? As we identify gaps, areas of opportunity to grow, and then further inform kind of where the relevancy branch needs to go.
Our pilot was designed to address the constituent culture barrier. We think that one way to address that barrier is to find ways to get people to participate in conservation through volunteerism. We are conducting interviews of people that live within 25 miles of two of our Division of Fish and Wildlife properties. We're doing these interviews so that we can learn more about what's important to our constituents, why they use or don't use our properties, and what might interest them enough to donate some of their free time to a property. The pilot allowed me to work with Matt Dunphy and Ann Fortune on building the conceptual model and the results chains for 3 core stewardship program activities. Those activities are volunteering at property events, staff training to support those property events, and then also designing the results chains for volunteer monitoring opportunities. We've also been working on designing evaluations for each of those 3 activities as well.
Our pilot project is to conduct social science research survey work, and we're specifically looking at the Philadelphia metropolitan statistical area. In Pennsylvania, that makes up at least 1/3 of the state's overall population, so it's a lot of people, and it's over half of the minority population of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And it's an area that traditionally has lagged behind the Commonwealth as a whole in terms of participation in fishing. That survey work that we're doing is intended to get into the Relevancy Roadmap and delve into the constituent capacity issues and try to find out, what skills do these people have? What barriers may they have to access? What interests do they have in our agency, in fishing, in boating? I think the longer range goal here is to develop relationships with those communities.
We were approached, or I was approached a couple of years ago to look at our bird conservation areas. We have a number of BCAs, is what we call them, across the state of Iowa. And the desire was to try to increase more activity, and by more activity, that may be current birders using the areas more frequently, or it may be bringing new birders into the areas to use them more often. We want to get more people, especially on the public lands there. So that's what we're really pushing to, is trying to figure out who our birders are, what they might be doing, and get them to use these.
We are taking a couple of the barriers in the Relevancy Roadmap and piloting them through putting on 2 workshops for our agency. And these 2 workshops will address a couple of the topics. One is fulfilling the agency's mission, and the other is the power of diversity and inclusion.
One is really meant to be focused on sort of our outreach staff and the components of reaching a broader, diverse audience, and understanding implicit bias and understanding, that there's an active effort that needs to be taken to reach broader audiences. But the other workshop is more focused on internal culture, understanding how we interact with one another as coworkers and partners in our conservation efforts, and how to understand that the differences that we have among one another make us more strong and impactful in that work.